Welcome into College Football Mornings. It is Thursday, and I have returned from my one-day absence. Thank you to Matt Bruning, who covered our prize picks yesterday. If you haven't seen that, go check it out on YouTube. And if you're not following us on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and you like this video. It helps us with the algorithm and gets our college content out there. Stuff that I think we all want to see and is extremely helpful for, us building the brand and getting more people into college fantasy, into college betting, into C2C. That is the goal of the morning show. Again, we're on every weekday during the season, and we're going to bring you a whole bunch of different content. But today is one of my favorite days because it's our Saturday's Best Plays Day. Last week, in totality, went 5-1 between our early line show and our Thursday Best Plays show. I bet against my Gamecocks, and that was a mistake. Not doing it again this week. That was our only loss. We killed it last week. We're hoping to kill it again this week. If you haven't checked out the early line show, it was on Monday morning. A couple of those lines have already moved. Hence, it's why the early line show. We try to get in before movement. I've seen a couple points here and there, especially on the game totals. So these are live. These should be playable. And I will give you the best line. And if I give you a line that is different than anywhere else, I will tell you which book to find it at. Let's get started. First one, if this feels too obvious to me, and so I'm a little scared, but I cannot in good conscience, on principle, play an Iowa over in any capacity. But they like to turn the ball over a little bit. They're pretty careless. I don't trust Spencer Petra, so that 38-39 a little scared me. So I'm going to go the Iowa team total under 30.5 points. What world do we live in where Iowa is given 30.5 in any game at any point based on what we've seen this season? This offense stinks. It's embarrassing. They've scored one touchdown the entire season. They've scored 0 field goals. They've had 2 safeties. This offense has scored 1 touchdown. That's it for 32 games. We need to see more before we actually start trusting this Iowa offense. And there's no chance that I'm going to do it this week against Nevada. Nevada hasn't been terrible. They gave up a lot of points to Incarnate Ward, but I don't think we should erase what they did the 2 previous weeks either. Against Texas State and New Mexico, they held them both under 14 points. New Mexico State. This is probably the offensive competency that we're dealing with from Iowa. And I know that's weird to say, but that is kind of what we're looking at. They're not going to throw the ball. They're going to run. They're going to have the most vanilla game plan we got out there. And Dom Peterson, the defensive lineman for Nevada, is a freak. He's been awesome. He might control this game, control the line of scrimmage. I think Iowa's going to have a tough time scoring. If they do cover this, it's going to be on defensive touchdowns, defensive short fields, turnovers, etc., which is always a pain when you play and bet against Iowa. But I bet against them last week, and I'm going to do it again. So we're riding under 30.5 points. That's 4 touchdowns plus, by the way, just for those paying attention at home. Second game. North Texas +3 at UNLV. I like getting a field goal here. I wish it was 3.5, but I think that the push is still very much in play. I think UNLV is a slightly better team. This game's way closer to a pick'em than getting a full field goal on either side. So North Texas has struggled some this year. Their defense came to play week 1 when they played UTEP. I thought they were pretty excellent. UTEP was bad on offense as well, but they were good. They deserved to limit that team to 14 points. They were outmatched by SMU, so I don't put a lot in that. I mean, those teams are on just 2 totally different trajectories. I don't know how we can possibly trust them. But then they played a game against Texas Southern that I don't honestly put a lot of stock into either. But again, we try not to overreact or underreact, and I think we're overreacting to what we saw against SMU and what we saw against Texas Southern, which admittedly was not the best showing that they've had. The bigger question here is, can we trust the LSU offense or UNLV offense in any capacity? They exploded week 1 against Idaho State, but we saw a lot more realistic representation, I think, against Cal when they scored 14 points. They can't pass the ball. They really can't. They did week 1. Brumfield isn't great. They're a bottom 20 passing offense last week in efficiency and in explosiveness. I just don't trust them. I don't think they can score the ball. I think North Texas can run. I think they can run on UNLV. I like this matchup. I think North Texas can win this game, but I like getting the field goal here. Final game. And I have had a lot of talk in the Discord about this. So if you're a member at campuscanton.com and you're not in the Discord, make sure you get in there. And if you're a member at campuscanton.com and you want to see live betting totals, what I have, early lines, etc., that's part of our NIL tier. And there's so much more that goes into that, including our DFS articles, Alfred's plays as well. Ton of great stuff. But I posted this under in our Discord, and it went the wrong way immediately. I posted under 55.5 for UAB Georgia Southern, and it ballooned to 57.5, like within an hour of it going live. And I said, well, crap, I could have got a bet at number A, and B, I don't like the way this is going. It's now 54.5. So the joke is on the books, and everybody that made fun of me for taking the under, although we could have got it at better points. It's still consistent with the process. I like the number when it came out. I wasn't going to risk it falling under, as we've seen the last couple weeks. And here's what's really important about why I pounced on the 55.5. This is kind of a lesson for betting in general and betting college football games specifically. 55 is the key number of key numbers. It is the most common game total finish at the collegiate level. 55 points. Those games that end in 55, and they occur more than anything else, you want to be on the right side of that number. So if you're on an over 54.5 would make sense. But here we're on the under. We're under 55.5. So 55, that cashes for us. And I think that's a pretty good outcome. It's now under 54.5 at FanDuel, still 55.5 at DraftKings, which I suggest you take. I think that this is going to be a much slower paced game than people maybe realize. Georgia Southern plays fast. They just do. That's the Clay Helton, Brian Ellis approach. They played fast against Morgan State, and they played fast against Nebraska. They beat Nebraska, scoring 45 points. That is why the total is so high. Otherwise, I don't believe it would be. UAB is a bottom 10 team last season in pace, and I'm defining pace as plays per minute. They're on that exact same track, but worse this year. Last week against Liberty, they ran 1.8 plays per minute on 31.5 minutes of possession. 58 plays in 31 minutes. That's pretty dreadful. That would rank dead last if that continues through the whole season. They want to play incredibly slow. And when they're playing incredibly slow, they want to run the ball. Jermaine Brown and Dwayne McBride are going to carry this offense. I think UAB is just going to control the clock the whole game. Try to slow it down, run it out as much as possible whenever they get the ball. And the kicker here is I think UAB's defense is better than the unit that they saw against Nebraska, and certainly better than the unit that they saw against Morgan State. They have a good defense. They do. They were ranked 50th in the preseason. And should they be down, or they ranked top 50 in the preseason? I think they were ranked 44th in SP Plus, and I have them ranked 48th. But I'm not downgrading them that much against Liberty. Liberty, they wasn't all that successful on an explosiveness rate or a success rate in general. That only allowed them to score 21 points. I don't think this number is going over because I don't think the UAB offense is super explosive. They're going to be really slow. They're going to run a lot, try to eat the clock. And I think they can stop the Georgia Southern defense. I mean, I think UAB has a great scheme. Unfortunately, their coach retired right up to the season due to health issues, but they still keep that same scheme on defense, and that is what's going to be very impactful here. So I don't like this number over 55. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, given how I think the game plan that UAB wants to go into this game with, which is probably slowing down a very fast-paced, very pass-heavy offense. So I am riding the under here, and I love it at 55.5, which I know is available on multiple books, but it is at 54.5 in some places if you are so inclined to take the over. But we're riding the under here, man. We're riding 55.5. Here are my three plays. Iowa under 30.5 points. They have done nothing to deserve a game total over 30.5. If I am wrong, I am wrong, but I am sticking with my principle. I am not taking them over 30.5 points. That is ridiculous. North Texas +3 against UNLV. I think UNLV is a slightly better team, but not 3 points better. The home field advantage doesn't really matter at all, in my opinion, in this matchup. So I'm going to take North Texas Mean Green, who I think had a bad week against SMU and play better defense than what we saw against Texas Southern last week. Finally, the game that I spent a little while talking about, UAB, Georgia Southern, under 55.5. UAB's style is going to be ground pound slow. That should keep this game very, very low scoring on their side. And the way that Georgia Southern is going to have to win this game is explosive plays. That's the only way they can do it. UAB is pretty good at limiting them, and they were last season as well. It's one of the hallmarks of their defense. That's all I got for you today. I think we're getting positive numbers on all of these. I don't expect them to move all that much. And if they do, I think they'll move in a direction that is beneficial to us. I think North Texas could go to +2.5. And this UAB Georgia Southern line might continue to fall. That'd be great for us. We're on that right side of that 55. Remember that, and remember that when you're playing the rest of your lines this week. I am Chris Moxley. You can find me at Chris Moxley 19. I was not here yesterday, but I will be here on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday each week, giving you different pieces of betting advice. Thank you, Matt Bruning, for helping me out yesterday. And he's usually on the other days when I'm not, or Austin and Culinart. Make sure that you're following us each morning. We have tons of great information, start sits, weekly news, betting advice, etc. Really, really good stuff coming out of our YouTube channel. But that's all I got for you today. Enjoy another weekend of college football, y'all.